We've tried some wild things on this stream, but know what we haven't tried? A Legacy Hypergenesis deck in Vintage. Welcome back, Vintage gamers. Your eyes do not deceive you. I have a Legacy legal deck in front of me, but we're not playing Legacy tonight. We are playing Vintage. This is a donation deck list from Gary, and Gary was really interested in playing. This is the deck that he plays, I assume, and wants to see it in Vintage, so we're going to do it. For those of you unaware, this is a Hypergenesis deck. This is a 75 card deck legal in Legacy. Basically, you play Shardless Agent or Violent Outburst, and you cascade. When you cascade, you exile cards until you find one lower than 3. If you only play Hypergenesis as your only card lower than 3 mana value, this is the one you're going to cast off of your cascade. When you cast it, you and your opponents take turns putting things into play, which is pretty fun. Honestly, a really cool card. We're going to be putting some heavy hitters, and that's kind of where I made changes to the deck list. I think we can, tune the things you're putting into play to be more relevant for Vintage, because unfortunately the deck constraints of this deck are you cannot play cards that cost less than 3 besides Hypergenesis. That is a really, really, really bad constraint to have for a Vintage deck, as you are going to lose all of the best cards that are restricted in Vintage. You are going to lose all your Moxen, you are going to lose Black Lotus, you are going to lose Ancestral, Time Walk, not Fast Spawn, but I guess also Fast Spawn, but Channel. Currently, I'm containing no restricted cards in this deck. You can reformat the mana base to play Gush. I just chose not to. It didn't feel like a worthwhile endeavor. But because we don't play Moxen, we have to play 8 Spirit Guides. They are nice colors for this deck, though. Elvish and Simian Spirit Guides helping us cast turn 1 Show and Tells, Violent Outburst, Shardless Agents, maybe turn 2. And then we're going to use our full forces. If you're playing Violent Outburst, you can actually use your negation as protection on their turn. We got Show and Tells as well. We have Chancellor of the Annex, mono white staple. Pretty good when you put it into play, and also good at helping you resolve your Hypergenesis. Atraxa is the big linchpin here. One of the most broken creatures ever printed, and it happens to be blue. Very good for our Force of Will blue count. I'm going to play Omniscience so that we can cast some Emrakuls and Atraxas and stuff. Though I guess maybe a little less necessary on the Hypergenesis plan, but it's pretty good on the Show and Tell plan. If you want to Show and Tell one thing into play, Show and Telling an Omniscience into play, and then casting your other cards is very good. And I've been told that I should play a Ghalta Stampede Tyrant. I have never played a Ghalta Stampede Tyrant, so I'm pretty excited. This is a 12/12 Trampler, and when it enters the battlefield, put any number of creatures from your hand on the battlefield. So this is a way we can turn our Show and Tell into a bit of a Hypergenesis and put some more creatures into play. Legends. Emrakul is a legend, and Atraxa is a legend, so we got to keep that in mind, though putting 2 Atraxas into play is not really a bad thing, as you're going to get a bunch of Force of Wills, and you'll be very happy. Sideboard, I have Vintage-ified the sideboard. We've got Leyline of the Void, the best way to stop Dredge. Force of Vigor, the best way to stop artifacts. Fury is probably our best removal spell. It's a little suspect with, only you're gonna have 10 red cards in probably when we play it, but you can also put it in off things. I was thinking of like cards that will come in off Hypergenesis to deal with cards that your opponent is putting in off Hypergenesis, and mono white creatures seemed a little annoying. I am gonna put a Bane of Progress in this sideboard. That should be pretty fun. Just a way to really destroy artifact and enchantment decks. And then I did include some Sarah's Emissaries, as this card can be lights out in a variety of matchups, so it makes a lot of sense to me. We've got a couple more pieces of counter magic, and we're going to jam this deck. I don't have high expectations, as we are really not utilizing the Vintage format very well. But I do think conceptually the thing you're doing is powerful and could line up okay into what's actually happening in the format right now. These creatures are going to win the game if we can resolve our spell. So that's a big reason why we're playing Chancellor, is to try to get this spell resolved. It is worth noting that in the past, Cascade decks have existed in Vintage. For a while, I think the most viable Cascade deck that ever existed in Vintage was when Valky could be cast off of Cascade. And that was actually, I think, a pretty reasonable deck. It actually had some decent challenge finishes. Obviously, they patched that out of the game, but that was probably the most viable Cascade. People have played Rhinos and things like that in the past, probably not to much success. So we'll see if Gary's Hypergenesis deck has what it takes to be played in Vintage today in this Vintage League. If you want to see your deck list played on my channel, make sure you check out the Patreon link in the description below, where you can find all the information you need to submit your very own donation and deck list. Have you ever wanted to win your own real Black Lotus? The legendary NYSE Vintage Tournament returns this June 22nd on Long Island in New York. 15 proxy, high stakes, paper vintage action with 8 whole pieces of unlimited power as prizes. You are not going to want to miss it. Check out more information in the description below. I hope to see you there. Let's battle. All right, here we go. Round 1. This hand is not playing a show and tell until turn 3, but the show and tell does put in Galta, Emrakul, and Chancellor. So I assume we're supposed to keep. I only have 8 sources of fast mana. I guess that's like a Moxen, basically. Normally you have 6 Moxen. Urborg. Uh-oh, we're getting spicy. What do we got here? A Moxen? Nice. I'm glad my Chancellor was put to good use. They are a Lurrus deck, so maybe they're making 2020s. That could be pretty fun. Ooh, that's a good draw. That's a good draw. Now we just draw Force of Will on our next turn here, and we win the game, yeah? I believe. It could happen. And if they have a counter, we have a second show and tell coming. We have no bad draws, probably. What is this, Ancestral? Oh, Lorien revealed Orbog. A classic combination. Tundra as well. Okay. So we have Tundras and Urborgs in our Lurrus deck. What are we doing? What are we cooking, opponent? Opponent is cooking. Nope, we can't add a VIP option. VIP is reserved for VIPs. Soul Guide Lantern, playing around that. No problem. Are we playing any Surveil duels? We are currently not. I just took the mana base from the deck donator. I don't have any strong opinions on how a mana base should be built for this deck. I didn't want to find out either, so. Can I cast this? Magic Online? Hello? Are we dead, chat? Oh. It happened, and then it went. Whatever. We're jamming. All right, you got a Forest opponent, or Flusterstorm, or a Daze, or a Spell Pierce, or anything? Yeah, they got something. Oh, cycle. Nah, Flusterstorm Gamer. This is one of the biggest problems I felt with trying to bring this deck into Vintage from Legacy, is that Legacy does not have as many forces and counters and stuff as we do. We are kind of overloaded in the counter count. I can't believe you set the over-under at 9.5. No! Wasteland is the most broken Magic card. It just ruins games. Ruins games, I tell you. Well, I think we've lost this one, unfortunately. Opponent had a counterspell and a wasteland, so I don't see how we're winning. Maybe I should have fetched a basic. Maybe they'll have nothing, though they just held open 3 mana instead of buying Lurrus, so I can't imagine they have nothing. I trusted you, Eric. You told me 9.5, so I put 9.5. I didn't know you'd be, I didn't know that'd be really high. It's okay. No problem. Another wasteland. Ah. I'm glad I am having a fun game today with my opponent here. I am so over wasteland. I should probably pick up one of those younger Magic formats and just where the wasteland doesn't exist. I mean, I can refund everybody. We can make a better prediction. I'm so dead. Wasteland is just a game-ending card, and it is very frustrating. But that's what we signed up for. Like I said, I could have fetched. I do have 3 basics in this deck, so maybe I should be fetching basics super aggressively. But I only had 1 fetch line anyways, so. Ah, so they used the Orborg to fix for their Lurrus. Very smart of them. That's gaming if I've ever seen it. Now they can spend 2 mana every turn and draw a card, which means we're very unlikely to resolve a spell in this game. I mean, we're playing against the Lurrus control deck that had a counterspell and multiple wastelands. Like, it's not a good time. We're gonna have a bad time. We also lost the die roll, which didn't help either. Okay, Lurrus Saga. I don't feel like we're gonna bring in a lot of things for this. Probably take out a negation and play some vigors. But like not a lot of vigors. This seems fine. Something like this. Yeah, I'm aware. But like, what deck we're going to have a good time against? The one where we resolve our spell. We didn't resolve our spell, so we did not have a good time. I don't know. This is very simple. I mean, I don't think that's true. If I thought this deck couldn't win at all, I would not have accepted it as a donation deck list. I don't. I constantly am surprised by people's evaluations of decks. Like, this is not so bad that it can't win games. Like, I don't really understand. I don't even think it has to be like a force. Like, I think you can beat a Force of Will deck. Like, I don't know. Y'all's deck evaluation surprises me. Do I think this is a good deck? No. Would I register this if I was trying to win a tournament? No. But I also wouldn't have accepted it, the Decklist donation, if I didn't think the deck could win games and make good content. So, like, I don't know. It has a very clear and distinct plan, and it has tools to make those things happen. And, you know, you have to keep 7 a lot. You don't mulligan well. I get that, but I mean, this is not as bad as some other decks we've registered. I don't think this is even close to the bottom of the pile. The Allurin deck that went top 16 in the Vintage Challenge, that deck was atrocious. I mean, people register Tool every weekend, so. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, they don't know what the sideboard for my Chancellor show and tell deck, which is fair, I guess. All right, so we're just looking for a Chancellor, a land, 2 Spirit Guides, and a payoff. That one does not have that. Does not have a. I think we probably have to mulligan any hand that doesn't have a payoff in it, and like some lands probably. This one looks good though. This one looks very good. So we can put back a Hypergenesis, and we just need to hit a land. I mean, my opponent might be able to beat Double Chancellor. It's not the strongest of draws, but this is definitely a hand we're keeping. Our deck does not mulligan well. We need a card quantity, because this card needs cards to be in your hand already. So I put this to the bottom. I hit done. I reveal both my Chancellors, so we're countering their first spell. And then I play this, and we can always search a basic off of this, which is nice. This puts us in a position where land is good because we can immediately Hypergenesis. Blue card is good because we'll be able to force. Creatures are good because I think we're a little bit behind on the creatures we need to maybe win the game, though maybe not. Maybe 2 Chancellors is enough. And then land is good because it lets us cast our spells, so not a bad spot. I mean, yeah, yes, like what? Like yes, they can have exactly those cards, and that would be good against us. I agree. Like, I don't know. If I played turn 1 Tinker and my opponent has force, it's bad for me. Like these are true statements. You've cracked the code. You know, you're not statistically likely to have double Moxen in all your openers, but all right. Well, now I have force backup, so now all I need to do is draw a mana. That is true. The Emerald was definitely from the probe, or they would have thrown the Emerald into the Chancellors. That is a fair point. I got something in my eye. Annoying. All right, we're almost there. This deck does have an additional 22 mana sources in it, so we are almost 50% to draw the mana source we need. Orborg. We drew another force. That one was not as good as the first draw. So they're going to make 2 constructs. I don't technically need to fetch, but we probably will fetch anyways. You've been here the whole time. You've heard everything I said. I said I did not change the mana base because I did not want to figure out how to change the mana base. Also, like, I don't even think Surveil Land is good. Like, why are we end of turn fetching into a tap dual land when we're going to get wastelanded? Like, that's just not good. I mean, I think you're wrong. I would not play Surveil Lands in vintage decks that like aren't Doomsday. Doomsday gets a lot of value from the 1 Surveil Land. Why are we putting Surveil Lands inside of Lurrus that can't cast any of its spells anyways? You want us to cast less spells? Like, I get it. So I understand why Surveil Lands are good as a concept. That does not make them good in vintage. I'm gonna fetch a basic forest here just in case I get like needled wastelanded. That'd be really bad. I mean, by fetching a basic forest, I am going to get strip mined, obviously, but have I? Yes, I have tried every new card that's ever came out of Magic. That's what we do here. It's my part-time job. Like vintage is under in like no small words a wasteland dominated format. This entire format is completely dominated by the card Wasteland. And you want me to play a tapped land in my deck that I'm getting minor value from. Vintage is not a format about getting minor value. All right. So I have 2 Chancellors. Unfortunately, I'm just not convinced these Chancellors are going to win the game. But we'll see what happens here. I mean, I think we're gonna lose even if we resolve it, but I'm pretty sure we're supposed to go on their upkeep, maybe. It turns on hardcast Force of Will. I guess we still get Flusterstormed and lose no matter what. I mean, we can put an Omniscience in play. What is that doing for us? We don't have any spells to cast off the Omniscience, so it doesn't really help us. I'm gonna go on their upkeep, though. I don't necessarily think that's better. I mean, it's better against exactly negation pitch cast. No, I'm not saying that we're not. Oh, I need to actually do this now, or we're gonna pitch to hand size. So I guess I should have just done it. Whatever. I'm casting it. I mean, if they have a Flusterstorm, we lose, right? And they know our hand, so. I mean, we're going to put the Omniscience in play. That's definitely happening because we want to be able to, like, top deck Emrakul and cast it. All right, so they have negation then. All right. Looks like they didn't hold up blue, so that means they don't have Flusterstorm, so they have to have double counterspell. Sweet. Oh, yeah. Thanks for the raid. We're playing some Legacy tonight, as you can see. Ah, yes. My opponent has a Gilded Drake in their deck, and they pitched it to Force. What's I got to do? Ah, so they could have pitch cast negation if they wanted to. Interesting. I mean, we're dead from here. There's like no way we can draw 2 mana sources and a show and tell or something and a Hypergenesis. Why is everything highlighted in green? Is this new? Raiders. Ah, I see. I see. Time walk. All right. All right. Well, our opponent had enough forces and we died. That is a world we're going to live in. Okay, round 2. Opponent has revealed a Lurrus. I put that as bad for our chances. This hand has nothing to put into play with Hypergenesis, even though it does have a turn to cast. This is probably not good. I guess theoretically, how many things do I have? I have 15 cards that are good to put in. If I were to draw back-to-back good cards to put in, would that be enough? Kind of, but I also don't want to have this card in my hand anyways, so seems like a reasonable mulligan to me. I feel like this time I'm going to keep it and try to draw some things to throw into play. I mean, if we simply draw an Atraxa and force a Show and Tell into play, it seems reasonable. Though we do have multiple tropical islands that can get wastelanded. I do have to imagine that playing against Lurrus is similar to playing against Delver in Legacy, and it just can't be a good matchup for us ever. Which is not a great time to be playing this deck, but hopefully we can run into some other decks along the way here. Also, all of our Lurrus opponents have had double Moxen, which is not great for us either. What is this? A Bowmaster. Don't care about that card. Unless they Time Twister us. In which case we suddenly care about that card. Yeah, we are definitely going to have to draw the Atraxa specifically. I guess theoretically an Emrakul could get the job done. An Emrakul could get the job done, I guess. It's not like we have draw spells in our deck, so we don't use the Omniscience super well. Yeah, Black Lotus as well. That is bad for me. Put Lurrus into hand, cast Lurrus off Black Lotus. Yeah, I don't think that's worth fighting over. I mean, if we resolve a show and tell with an Atraxa, it usually wins the game against blue-black. Blue-black can't usually beat an Atraxa, though we have currently just drawn all show and tells. So that's not good. So this is the turn. If we were a vintage deck, we would play Oath of Druids. And we would be winning. So, something to think about. This is a Lorien revealed. I'm just going to negate it. These negations not doing anything in my hand anyways. Two cards in my opponent's hand. Replay Lotus. I still think this game is winnable with an Atraxa. It might not be winnable with an Emrakul. Emrakul might also be winnable here. They have two cards in hand. They could always have double counterspell, I guess. Okay. Can I get a Atraxa? An Omniscience. I mean, we'll cast. I kind of want them to counter it. 6 mana? Oh, they're going to cast a Dig Through Time for the full 8 mana. 6 out of the 8 mana. All right, okay. I mean, I'm trying my best. I really hope they force this. I just want them to force it. I'm so okay with that. Please force my show and tell. Yes, yes. Got rid of a bunch of cards. Hell yeah, they have 1 card left. They don't have a Lotus anymore. They do have 5 power. How much damage we're taking? We're taking 5. Oh, they drew the Wasteland. Maybe that's a good reason to force dig, actually. It's actually because of Wasteland. That's probably actually true. That's probably a mistake. Because now I don't have a follow-up play. Oh, they have Time Walk. Yeah. No, that was my fault. I should have forced back just because of Wasteland. I didn't really consider that, and that's a big mistake. Right, well, I guess I have to force this because it deals me 2 damage. I mean, I have no play anymore. No, it could have mattered. Like if I forced the Dig Through Time, maybe it's good enough. But yeah, that was a bad play. I just did not consider Wasteland at all. Oh right, they yes, they can replay the the Bowmaster from their yard. We don't even get a turn. I had the Atraxa. Okay. I may have been able to win that game, and I might have lost the game because of it, actually. Not ideal. Not ideal. All right, on the play. I mean, it's good. Learn from your mistakes. I was just thinking they would dig into a force, and then we would like let them get, you know, the full value. But I didn't really consider dig hitting Wasteland. So. Okay. Good to know. The fact that I have 3 basics in my deck and I'm still just getting manhandled by Wasteland every game is quite telling. All I want to do... How many fetches do I have in my deck? I have 7 fetches? I guess I have a lot of lands in my deck. This might be a legacy thing. Yeah, I mean, I think it was a good thing that my other video went out first. How do I feel about this hand? It's kind of an interesting one. Feels like a keep to me. I mean, we technically have Moxen in our deck. They're called Spirit Guides. We've drawn some of them. We don't technically have Moxen in our deck. We have Moxen-like cards in our deck. No, you could totally play Beseju in this sideboard, in this mana base. Like I said in the beginning, I said I didn't touch the mana base because I didn't want to mess it up. I did not trust myself to make a non-Moxen mana base for a deck that's casting green, red, and blue-green cards. Like Satoru, that card is not very good, unfortunately. It costs mana, which is really hard to do in Vintage. Ah, my opponents have had nice Moxen, though. I'm sad. Key, sure. This looks like a good Force of Vigor. Saga Gaming? Strip mine! Chat, what am I doing? Now I get wastelanded. This is the dumbest thing. How can anyone look people in the eyes and say Saga is better than Wasteland? I just don't. How? It's so broken, man. It's so broken. I kept a nice 2-land hand, you know, trying to play some spells. Oh, that's not happening. Not a chance in the world. Let's get rid of the... I think we can get rid of the Outburst because we have Show and Tell Omniscience, right? I feel like I get rid of the Mana Producer. Ready for the Force of Will backup here? Yep, Force of Will pitching Force of Will. All right, so if we draw land, do we win this game? Maybe? Wait, another Force of Vigor. That's actually a pretty good draw. Those are two of our Force of Vigors. Two of our two Force of Vigors that I brought in. All right, is that enough? Is that enough to slow the bleeding? Can we progress in this game now? What is that? Psycho Lorien reveal? What are we doing here? We're just floating for fun? Because it's good magic? Looks like good magic. All right. I've stopped them. They have a basic island. Oh, that was another card that I was thinking we might want to add into our deck is our own Strip Mine. Again, like I said, I didn't change the mana base because I just didn't know if, like, say if I cut a Taiga, like, is that greatly affecting our chances of casting our spell? Like, if I trade a Taiga out for a Beseju, if I trade a Taiga out for a Strip Mine, like, I just don't know. I don't have enough experience to make that call, so I chose not to. I have not drawn lands, by the way. 22 mana sources left in our deck at the moment. I mean, there is a... They drew an Ancestral? No, Lorien revealed. Okay. You just turned into me losing to Wasteland for the 800 millionth time. Spirit Guide, okay, that's one. That can't get Wastelanded, by the way. But I also don't have a Force of Will to protect my spells, so... I mean, they could also hit mana problems here. Like, they had to use a Wasteland and a Strip Mine, and... okay. Never mind. Never mind. Alright, Taiga Gaming. Classic. Alright. I still think they're gonna have a third Force for some reason. I need a blue mana source here. I mean, we do have two payoffs, though, so that's good. We have a Show and Tell and a Shardless Agent. Blue land, Omniscience. Fantastic. That is... Should I pitch the Emrakul to put the lands back in our deck? Or is that too bad? I feel like we want this Emrakul. I feel like we don't need two Omnisciences. Yes, I agree. When we got Wastelanded, Strip Mine and then Wastelanded, that was the point where I felt like we were in trouble. Looks like my opponent hasn't drawn the cards they need yet, so that's nice. Chat, we're not gonna talk about, like, leaks that may or may not be fake cards. Come on now. Do better, please. Please. I was gonna say like my deck, but then my deck did not help me in any way, shape, or form here. Like, let's wait until the card gets actually revealed, and then we can talk about it. I do feel like we've drawn suboptimally here. We might have needed to draw better. This one lets me. I think I'm supposed to keep the outburst because it lets me cast it if I draw another spirit guide. All right. Well, they hit their 6th land, which means they can now buy Lurrus, play Lurrus, and replay Black Lotus. Somehow, I do not feel like I'm going to resolve any spells in the rest of this game, but okay, they bought Lurrus. I mean, in a world where none of their last cards are counter spells, and we resolved Show and Tell Omniscience, I do believe we would win the game. All right, we hit the land, so that at least lets us play Violent Outburst. Do we just play it right now? Yeah. Yeah, we do. So this is going to be, if we resolve the Hypergenesis, we would go Chancellor, Chancellor, Omniscience, and not the Emrakul, and then cast the Emrakul off the Omniscience. All right, looks like they have a negation off of Lotus. Ah, they have a Spell Pierce off of Lotus. Yeah, I also can't beat that. All right, well, the good news is we got a counter out of their hand. And if we untap and draw a blue land and don't get wastelanded and don't get vault keyed and don't get time twisted, then we could cast Show and Tell, which would still be winning if it resolved. I don't have high hopes though. My opponent has only gone through 2 forces. That is not enough. Yes, we got time twister. Brilliant. All right, I would give a pack of Starburst if the game would just let me not play against Lurrus here, please, and thank you. Oh yeah, this deck could play a gemstone, but the problem is it's really hard to pitch cards from your hand because you need all your cards in your hand. All right, my opponent is on a Mull of 5. I have Chancellors for their first play. I am a little concerned that 2 Chancellors doesn't beat a Jewel Shop's Hypergenesis, but we'll see what happens. All right, so there's a workshop on a Mull of 5, and there's a Monolith which gets countered. Okay, so they can't play a ring on turn 1 here. All right, so I mean they would have to have last 2 cards, like last 3 cards ring blue card force for this to go badly, right? Because we're gonna have 2 Chancellors in play. It's got to be good. That's got to be okay. No, no. I got a little scared there. That is not the card we're looking to draw here. I don't think there's any reason to play around anything. Just cast this stuff here, and then, all right, Hypergenesis. I'm going to put a Chancellor in play. What are you going to put in play? I'm going to put a Chancellor in play. What are you going to put in play? I think we won. I think they're not putting anything in play. I think we did it. No, they put a ring in play. All right, fair enough. And they put a coveted jewel in play. This is what I was worried about. Oh, and they put a workshop in play. So their hand was all right. All right. So does 2 Chancellor triggers beat jewel going off? Oop, they forgot to draw with their ring. Okay, that's a good one for us. Because we are still going to steal their jewel next turn. Does coveted jewel combo beat double Chancellor? Anyone know? Any knowers? I think the answer is no, but I'm really not confident. Like, what? I mean, the good news is, oh my, they found the only good card in their deck. Oh, not the Tolarian Academy. That's the good card. Oh God. Tolarian Academy is just so good. It's crazy. Okay, I still think we're okay though, because we're gonna steal their jewel and we'll draw a blue card for force, and we're attacking for 10. No. I think we're winning this game. I think this game looks like a win to me. Y'all don't. This is a win. I half them. I take their jewel. I draw 3 cards. I have hard cast negation if I need to. This is a win. I do wish they hadn't drawn Tolarian Academy, because that is probably their best card here, but no. Oh, see, boom. Okay. They're at 9. I've got a negation. Can I cast anything off this, actually? 5 mana? Not really. They can't win from here. There's no way, right? There's still 2 Chancellors in play. I have a counter spell. This is a win. This is a win. I don't think we're supposed to suspend it. Saga? Uh-huh. This is Time Walk? Oh, this is Black Lotus. Okay. They do have an active Forge, but everything costs 2. But everything gets reduced by 1 after they play it because of the Tolarian Academy. They have an active top, but it's not as good with 2 Chancellors in play. I would counter a ring. I would counter... This card doesn't do anything, right? This is a -5/-5. I guess it lets them kill 1 if they have a Metamorph as a follow-up. They have 5. They have 8 mana after this. They have 6, 7 mana after this. I'm kind of worried about 2 Mightstone kill a Chancellor. Is that something I should be worried about? Because I still attack them for 5. They don't die to their ring. But I really don't want them to play a new ring. That's what I'm the most worried about. I'm worried this is like bait, and then they play a new ring, and I can't actually win. But it is kind of bad for them to like kill my Chancellor, so see what they choose to do here. If they -5, it means they have a Metamorph in hand. So they could always have Metamorphed my Jewel. Oh, I guess they could, yeah, they could Metamorph the ring. That's true. Okay, that's fair. That is a wrinkle in the plan here. That is definitely a downside of negation. Ooh, Metamorph chance. I mean, I just can't counter a Metamorph no matter what, though, right? So, like, I don't have to worry about a Metamorph. I just get Metamorphed if they have a Metamorph. Oh, we're spinning top. At least this game was interesting. Things happened. I don't think this game would have been very close if my opponent didn't draw the Tolarian Academy. What does this do? This untaps a ring and draws 3. I'm gonna counter this one. Maybe I was. I mean, I guess they could have a forced blue card at this point too. I don't know. I've decided this is my line. I'm drawing the let's go. We gotta win, chat. Leave it to Jewel to let my deck have a win. Classic Jewel. Thank you, Jewel. Thanks. Have a good night. All right, so we're gonna bring in the Bane of Progress. That should be a spicy one, and we're gonna bring in the 4 Vigors and also the Negation and also the Mindbreak Trap. How can Jewel ever win? We have all the good cards. All right, how do we board 7 cards though? I guess Chancellor is like less good on the draw here, but can I afford to take all of these Chancellors out, or is that too much? Yeah, actually, I don't know if we can board this many cards in. I did not do a sideboard mapping, but we are the control deck here, so I guess Show and Tell gets worse, but I mean, it's Hypergenesis is also still bad for us. So I don't know, like, if like normally you would trim Show and Tell as the Oath player here, but are we allowed to do that? I'm not even sure we're allowed to do that. Maybe we trim one like mountain here. Okay, I can't guarantee that this is going to work well, but I do want all of these cards in my deck, so that's the plan. Our plan is to keep a hand that has multiple pieces of interaction and then win later. This is one of those hands. All right, what do you got for us, Jewel player? Workshop. Jet. Go. Interesting. Bane of Progress. Okay. Island. Ancestral. Time Walk. Mightstone. Mightstone. Okay. I don't think that's what I'm fighting over here. Can you please play something into my trap? No? You didn't want to play into my trap? Okay. Drawing more lands is not good here. I have to admit. Though at some point we can start hard casting. 5 cards in hand. That is a lot of cards to have for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 mana. Time Vault. You got it. Go? What is going on here? Do they have PO on my turn? That'd be pretty good, actually. PO on my turn would be a good play. I would be very sad if they did that. Let's go get a tropical island, and I guess I have no brainstorm or anything, so I might as well thin my deck out here. Can't get wastelanded in this matchup. Another negation, and now I have hard cast negation. Okay, we'll just get to 6 mana and cast the Bane of Progress. That's the new plan. New plan. Saga Gaming. Okay. I mean, we're gonna kill the Saga. I just think we'll probably hard cast a Vigor on their turn. Seems like the better way to go about this. Another negation. So what's the other thing I'm supposed to kill? I'm going to kill the Saga and the Mightstone, or the Saga and the Time Vault. I really don't want to kill the Time Vault, to be honest with you. I'll try killing the Mightstone. Yeah, I mean, if they have like a top deck key, then obviously it's better to hit the Time Vault. But if they never find the key, then I guess if they have a second Saga off the top. All right, so it looks like they have forced blue card down to 2 cards. I'm going to negation pitching the Atraxa. Because at some point I'd like to like hard cast one of these every single turn. I think that's what I want to do. Maybe I can just get rid of a negation. I probably am supposed to keep the Atraxa. Let's negation pitch negation. All right. No, if they play another... Oh. What is this? This is a PO? What are we doing here? This is a ring? Unfortunate. Hopefully they don't have 2 rings. Nope. Oh my god, we're 1 away. I just had to read, chat. I can't explain it. I just had to read. I felt like they were going to play more spells. Come on, please, please give me the land. Damn it. I want to play the Pain of Progress so bad. Come on, Bane of Progress. No. Yeah, that is an upside. I can hardcast a force here, which is important if they draw another ring. I need. This kills enchantments, right? Come on, mana. Come on, man. I need this screenshot. It will make me so happy. No. What if we just die to constructs before we ever find our mana? I shouldn't have fetched. Oh, I had to fetch to count my 4 drops. Come on, come on, come on. Yes! Let's go! Let's go! All right, I'm going to cast this for all of my mana. I would like that screenshot, please. Oh, hold on. There's a trigger here. I would like this screenshot, please. Nice. All right, this whole league was worth it. All right, they're gonna respond with a Hercules recall. Why do they have Hercules recall in their deck? Chat, what is going on? Why is this a thing? Why did they board in Hercules recall? Pretty sure I'm supposed to force it. Bane of Progress. Boom! 6-6. I feel like we can still lose this game to a ring here. Opponent doesn't think we can. That's a match win. Thank you. Oh my god. Thank you to every Jewel player who's ever decided to register the deck. You are the reason I get to enjoy fun and enjoyable content here with my viewers. Thank you for registering Jewel. Please do so every single opportunity you ever get. All right. 1 and 2 now with a resolved Hypergenesis. We won the die roll this time, but we are against Lurrus again. Ooh. Hello. Oh, wait. Is this good? This is only good if we draw a mana on our first turn. I mean, we should probably do it no matter what, right? Is Cascade on cast? It is on cast. Maybe this isn't worth it then. I was thinking maybe we could like Atraxos trigger and stack them in a way that was beneficial to us, but doesn't seem like we can do that. Yeah, I mean, we're less than 50% to draw a mana source here. We're 23 of 53. And even if we do, we're just putting an Atraxa in play. Now, that does beat some Lurrus decks, but not all Lurrus decks. Also, another on-color Mox opener. I am so jealous. Why didn't I put Mox in my deck? Soul Ring as well. Damn. Going off. Oh, man, if they buy Lurrus here, they can put it into play with Hypergenesis. All right. Are we winning this game if we Hypergenesis? If we draw a land in Hypergenesis, are we winning? Maybe. I feel like we should play around. I guess we can't really play around anything unless we like wait till a weird phase. I can't respond to the Lurrus activation, right? Like the buying of Lurrus. So I feel like I should try to let them tap mana. Like if they fetch right here, I'll go for it as well, because that plays around Flusterstorm and Spell Pierce at least. That would be a Warhammer Soul Ring. Yeah, I think I'm going to let my opponent try to do something, hopefully. Blue. Does this put Lurrus in hand? Oh, this is Merchant Scroll. Okay. That's fine. Hopefully they cast Ancestral and we respond by Violent Outbursting. That'd be the best scenario. Are they just going to get Force? They just got Force. Damn. Oh, are they going Volt Keying? All right. Well, I'm going to end a turn it, and then we'll upkeep it, too, if we draw mana after. Maybe they already have Ancestral. Oh, I should got a basic there. I'm sorry. I messed up. It's okay. Green. Cast Violent Outburst. Watch them just put Time Vault in play and we lose. That would be pretty funny, though. They have Flusterstorm again. Are we just getting wrecked by the one of Flusterstorm in these decks every single time? Kind of gross. Ah, Spell Pierce. All right, well. They have a Force of Will in their hand and probably another blue card. So we just try to untap, draw a land, and go again. Drew the land. All right, we're gaming. This is both of our Hypergenesises, so. If they have a Time Vault, it's still bad for us. Wait, they just forced the Shardless Agent, by the way. Yeah, that is a tough lesson to learn here. Again, we could still just lose this game if their last card is Time Vault, but... Alright, yeah, you've countered my Shardless Agent. I'm going to Cascade now. I'm going to cast Hypergenesis, and hopefully we don't lose. I'm going to put an Atraxa in play. Please don't put a Time Vault in play. Alright, I resolved Show and Tell. Based and good. That's like that's the most work I've ever done for a Show and Tell. All right, we've resolved two Hypergenesis now. I am going to take a Force of Will, a land, a Show and Tell, and a. I have 2 forces now. It's pretty good for me. I guess we take a Chancellor. All right, well, I feel good about this one. I still think we were probably winning if our opponent didn't mess that up, because we did have Force backup, but now we have double Force backup. And they can't kill this. Their deck just can't kill it. So that's good. This is an artifact? Okay. I did not realize that was the case. Why does it look like not an artifact then? Yes. So I should have taken the Shardless Agent. That is my fault. Damn, a Demonic Consultation is kind of an interesting card in this deck. Are they just going to go for the Time Vault? Like a boss? They named Time Vault. Did they mill out? They have 7 cards left in their deck. What a boss! Just jamming Consult Time Vault. So sick. All right. I think that's just I'm gonna play the Consult in my deck. I don't think they could win the game even if this worked out because they have 7 turns. But it was worth. Anyways, I'm gonna make the same changes I did last time. I kind of like the idea of just playing less negations and some figures. That worked out pretty well for us. I mean, it didn't work out pretty well for us. But it was good in the match we lost. I don't think it's good to. I think playing 4 Force of Vigors against blue-black Lurrus is just not a good play. I think you're diluting your deck too much. You're not answering enough of their game plan. I don't like 4. I don't know how, like, it's very hard for us to take out too many cards. Like, maybe you could say 1 less negation and 3rd vigor. I guess that's okay. But I mean, if we put more negations in, we can technically play on their turn sometimes with Violent Outbursts, so. But okay. Another Hypergenesis has resolved. We're match 4, and we need to resolve another 8 more Hypergenesis? That does seem challenging. What does this hand have? This hand has Force? Yeah. Yeah. This hand has lands and Force and Atraxa. I have a hypothesis, chap. And I think if you are putting Atraxa into play, no matter how bad the way you're putting Atraxa into play, it's still good. Like, Reanimator, not a great vintage deck. Not a great vintage deck, but when you do, like, reanimate an Atraxa, it almost always wins. If you Oath an Atraxa, Show and Tell an Atraxa, Reanimate an Atraxa, Hypergenesis an Atraxa, I just think Atraxa is that good. She's her. This card is just it. All right. Bool. What else you got for us? Saga Gaming. That could be challenging here. But Atraxa should win. Bobble themselves after playing Saga. Okay. Natural Order Atraxa, Sneak Attack Atraxa. Yeah, I mean, this card is just that good. It also lets you more easily play Force of Will, which is just... That's just vintage. All right. So, what are my best draws, chat? Not Black Lotus. We don't have that in our deck. Island Cycle on their turn with the trigger on the stack. Sure. Emrakul, the Aeon's Torn. Okay. I don't know if that one was one of the ones we were looking for, but... They have a Moxen? Or they're just playing a Saga. They don't need constructs? All right. Simian Spirit Guide. Damn it, if I Hypergenesis here, if I Hypergenesis or Show and Tell and they play a land, they can make a construct. Is this a Shardless Agent angle? Or is this just a Show and Tell angle? I don't know. How does Cage interact with How does Cage interact with Genesis? It just doesn't, right? Because it's coming from hand, so it doesn't interact at all. I'm gonna basic forest. Oh. All right, I was not supposed to get a basic forest. My bad, chat. My bad, chat. My bad, chat. I didn't. My mistake. I just wanted the Hypergenesis to get more things, you know? They're gonna go Black Lotus Time Twister with backup. Man, that was such a so bad. I mean, Forest is like the correct basic to get here if I didn't need a blue right away. I think maybe it's just always an island because I always need a blue here. Interesting. This is why I don't do mana bases. This is why I simply ignore mana. All right. Well, what does that leave us in life? Saga Gaming Part 2. Attacks. Okay. I'm just trying to play around Spell Pierce, chat. I'm gonna draw another Spirit Guide, and that way I can play around Spell Pierce. They could not tap Saga chest. We literally went over this. This was one of the things we went over. All right. Well, I am gonna do the thing and hope it works out, I guess. Oh, for mana? I mean, if they're not gonna cast anything, then they don't need mana. Simple as that. I mean, they're holding up Hardcast Force or Negation or something. Maybe they're holding up in Negation and Flusterstorm or something. If they weren't going to use it, it's better to save time. But yeah, I mean, I was talking about making it like that. We're just going deep. All right. Casting Hypergenesis. I don't think this one was resolving. Force, pitching, force. It's so bad for me to pitch Show and Tell. They didn't even hard cast. Do I think we win with an Emrakul, I guess, is the question. I guess we probably do. Damn it. I picked the wrong one, chat. I picked the wrong one. All right. Well, we have resolved an Emrakul, so hopefully that's good. They only have one card left. They can play a Lurrus and Bobble Loop, but then they get Emrakul in the face. Seems good. Put our resolved Hypergenesis counter to 3. Saga Gaming? Is Saga Gaming going to beat an Emrakul? Anyone, any knowers? Any knowers? Damn, I wish I had an Atraxa at this point, but I felt like my opponent had another counterspell, right? Like shouldn't they have used their Force of Will, like use the Lotus to hardcast Force of Will? Wouldn't that have made sense? Especially if they had a land coming. I don't really like the idea that they pitch cast Force of Will if they didn't have anything back up. I would rather have them hard cast, right? Another winner. We beat Lurrus Saga. Let's go. Wait, are we going to go 3-2? Are we going to go 3-2? Maybe. Don't call it a comeback. Okay, here we go. 5th and final round. We got a rematch versus Story. So this is going to be our 4th Lurrus Saga opponent. Honestly, going 2-2 and having to face Lurrus Saga 4 times so far, not too bad. What is this hand doing? This hand has acceleration. This hand has counters. It doesn't have a payoff, but I mean, payoffs are our most abundant thing, right? We have 4, 8, 12 payoffs. I guess it's less abundant than things to put in play. 12 is still pretty good, though. I'm going to keep it. If we can draw like a Hypergenesis, we can go... Even if we draw a Show and Tell, we can Show and Tell like Omniscience and Atraxa. It's pretty good. I'm not like so thrilled with this hand, but Force is interesting. All right, so if we can draw one of our spells, not a bad hand. Yo, Wheeler. Thanks for the raid. Hope you had a good stream. Welcome, everyone. We are in the 5th and final round of this donation decklist Vintage League. We are currently playing a legacy deck in Vintage. We're playing Hypergenesis with the threats and sideboard tuned for Vintage. So it's going okay. It could be going better, but Lurrus Saga is a tough matchup, and there's a lot of Lurrus Saga in Vintage. All right. We're drawing... We found another land... Opponent missed a land that turn, though. Maybe we'll just hard cast Atraxa. I don't think we have a land that produces white or black mana, actually. So I guess we can't do that. Maybe there should be lands that produce white and black mana. I'm not sure how often games are going to go all the way to hard cast Atraxa. This is put Lurrus in hand. Kind of representing a Spell Pierce, it looks like. Okay, still looking for Show and Tell or a Cascader. If we don't draw a payoff, an enabler here, it's going to be tough because they're going to start making constructs on us. But we're getting there. We're close. And we're going to be able to play around Spell Pierce, which is nice. And Flusterstorm. Kind of. All right, so they're just going to make constructs. We need to find one of our Cascaders or our Show and Tell. Any luck? 12 hits? No. All right, so they make 2 constructs. That doesn't kill us super fast, but it does kill us fairly quickly. Do I need to play around a Needle? I feel like I'll fetch just the basic island to play around a Needle. I just don't have hope. I wish I had hope here. This is a Bowmaster. We probably have 1 draw left. This game is still winnable, though, because Show and Tell or Hypergenesis into Omniscience, Atraxa, then we just hit an Emrakul off of the Atraxa trigger and cast it off Omniscience, win the game in 1 attack. This game is definitely still on the winnable side, but we're running out of time. Maybe I should have played Elvish Spirit Guide to chump. I didn't want to do that because I want to be able to beat Spell Pierce. Sensei's top, huh? All right, so this is a 7 hit, 11. Playing a Spirit Guide might buy us an additional turn in this game. Like a full turn, so that might be worth. All right, come on, chat. Send me some energy here. I need Enabler. Cascade. I'm dying. All right, well, I am going to cast my Spirit Guide, so I may live 1 more turn. Hopefully. And then we have one more turn. Maybe I'm not supposed to keep a hand that doesn't do anything. Obviously, Saga is a way to make your combo opponent actually do something. Like, I have all these forces, but they don't do anything if my opponent just makes Saga tokens. Which I think is actually, like, really good gameplay. Like, just me sitting here with a bunch of forces is pretty silly. I'm not a control deck, but thank you for that attempted observation. I just don't have a combo combo in hand. What do we got? Black. It's gonna be a demonic tutor, maybe. Demonic tutor. Oh. Ah, they did find the time twister. All right. In that case, I will go negation, pitching, force of will. That's bad for our chances here because that's a must counter threat here. Yeah, I mean, I just think you're completely wrong, Raphael. Like, there's no reason that I should be rewarded for sitting and doing nothing. My opponent put creatures in play, and I did nothing about it. I should die. And the fact that you think otherwise really doesn't make any sense to me. Another force. Pitching a negation. All right, so now I won't have force backup, but I can still win this game if I draw the card I need off the top, and they have no more counterspells. Yeah, that's fine. That's not a thing. That's a rule you randomly made up. That's not a thing that has to be abided by. You just randomly made that up as a constraint for Magic for some reason. I don't know. It doesn't make any sense. And they're not free. That's still wrong. This is Lurrus Lotus. Replay Lotus. Have mana up. Pretty good. It's not really useful to have a conversation with Log about this because he's not being reasonable about it. It looks like they have hard cast negation. Damn. All right. Well, we need a Cascade here. We drew the show and tell. I mean, so we did finally draw it, but I think they're going to have another counterspell. Yeah, they have another counterspell. Damn. 3 forces. It is just impossible to resolve spells in this format. Brutal. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We get a second Atraxa. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So we would actually end up missing here on the Emrakul. That's interesting. I mean, we had multiple counterspells. The biggest problem, I mean, we didn't have we only had 1 force to back us up, and we had to use force on their spell is the biggest issue. All right. But yeah, if we had drawn show and tells earlier, maybe we can force it through. I don't think we are. I don't believe it's that fact that we have enough. I would say we have enough payoffs. We just didn't draw them there. This hand just needs a mana. I'm not super concerned with the number of ways to do the thing. I thought 12 is actually a pretty good number. But we don't have draw spells, so maybe that's not true. So it's not like we have brainstorm and ponder and those kind of things. Wait, this lets me stack the triggers in the way that I want, right? If I play the Galta first and then the Atraxa and I stack them, so I get the Atraxa cards and then I can put it into play with Galta. That's cool. All right, we have to not draw our Hypergenesis, and we have to draw a mana source, and then we jam and hope it works. Oh, I guess also we're not really having force backup here, which is kind of unfortunate, but I don't think we're allowed to mulligan this hand. This hand has a lot of the things that are happening that we were trying to do, so. On color Moxen. And a C. You have a Spell Pierce or a Flusterstorm? Question mark. Looks like it. All right, I'm hoping we draw the mana, and then we'll go on their upkeep. We drew a blue card, which is not the mana. That is good, because it gives me a force. I guess we couldn't go on their upkeep because we had a Shardless. Saga Gaming. I mean, now we're just trying to draw to one of 22 mana sources, so. Twister. All right. Why? We've won 2 matches. It must be good. What are you talking about? Ah, my opponent just naturaled Twister plus Force backup. Turn 2. And we died. All right. Well, Lurrus Saga is definitely a prohibiting factor in doing the fun. To be fair, most of the time, the best deck in the format is a prohibiting factor on doing the fun. When Pio was the best deck in the format, Pio really pushed out Brews. But yeah, not ideal. Not ideal. Opponent was a little bit stronger that time. All right. So shout out to Gary for this donation deck list. It was fun. We got some good screenshots out of it. We did resolve multiple Hypergenesis. We didn't get to put a Gauntlet into play, unfortunately, but we did hardcast a Bane of Progress, which I can confirm is worthwhile. We obviously got our free win versus Jewel, but then we played against 4 Lurrus Saga decks, which just seemed like a very impossible matchup. When you're trying to resolve one spell and your opponent has 8 forces plus 4 1-mana counterspells, it's just very, 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 very hard to do. Not to mention the fact that if you simply draw your non-basic lands, they wasteland you out of the game, you can never cast your spells. It's very hard for this strategy to line up well against Lurrus Saga. It's actually kind of funny because this is probably one of the leagues where we actually would have benefited from hitting like the Dredge opponents or the Mono White Initiative opponents or the Shops opponents, but we just didn't we didn't end up hitting those matchups, and that's sometimes how it goes. So yeah, thanks to Gary for the donation deck list. I don't think I would recommend playing Hypergenesis in Vintage. You just lose out on all of the good cards. You don't get to play Power, which maybe is the point. I do think this deck would be better if you had full Power and played Eureka. For that matter, playing 4 Show and Tell, 4 Eureka. Maybe you play Oath of Druids. Like, you can do different things inside this idea of putting into play large creatures. This one, unfortunately, just like gets rid of all of the good cards that you get to play by playing Vintage, and I think that's too much to ask. As far as unpowered decks go, if you like were forced to play in an unpowered in a non-proxy tournament and you wanted to play this deck, I don't think it's the worst thing you could register for unpowered. If you want to see your deck played on my channel, make sure to check out the Patreon link in the description below. More Vintage content on this YouTube channel every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. I will see you then.